and welcome to this video tutorial on the best way to pause your games in Unity3d. I'm Dre from Electech, and today I'd like to introduce you to a brand new product of ours called Pause Controller, a group pausing kit. Today we're just going to go ahead and explain how do you obtain Pause Controller, what it does, what it helps you avoid, and how you set it up in your scene. So we're really excited about this, and we just want to show you how simple all this process is. So if you are just Googling how to pause in Unity3d, you might have come across this video. You might not even know what Unity is. If you don't, just quick introduction. Unity is a great 3D platform for making games in. It works on iPhone, Android, and Mac and Windows, and it's just a really great unifying product. Okay, and along with Unity comes something called the Asset Store. And so once you install Unity, open it up, you go ahead and click on Window and go to Asset Store. And once Asset Store loads up, you just go ahead and type in pause, and you see Pause Controller comes up. Go ahead and click on Pause Controller, and you see that there's descriptions, images, and a review of Pause Controller. So far it's 5 stars, so you know it's a good product, okay? If you haven't bought anything on the Unity store before, just go ahead and click the buy button. That buy button is going to turn to an import button once you register all your information. And then from there, it's going to install Pause Controller inside your current game project. And you can use it on as many game projects as you want. So it's just a one-time purchase thing, okay? Alright, great. So now, you might be wondering, what is Pause Controller? Before I buy it, I want to know what it is exactly. It's like, okay, cool, no problem. So what Pause Controller is a pausing solution inside Unity that can pause the whole entire scene, groups of game objects, or just an individual game object itself. Okay, there's other pausing solutions out on the market, and you might be wondering, why should I choose Pause Controller over using other systems, especially ones that are free? Well, first let's just go ahead and talk about the most common way people pause games right now in Unity. They use something called timeScale 0. And upon our own research, when we stumbled upon timeScale 0, I'm the technical director of the company. I said, look, this is not a good way to pause a game because it's not pausing the game, it's just stopping movement. So what does that mean? Well, what's the difference between stopping movement and pausing the game? Well, basically, if you just stop movement, it means that your gameplay logic is still running. And if your gameplay logic is still running, weird things can still happen even though you think the game is paused. So that means it's still detecting key presses. It still might be changing states. If you don't know what a state is, it's just like if I'm running and then I'm walking, that's just a change of state, right? So there still can be state changes happening in the background. Well, it does stop a lot of movement and timers. It doesn't stop your game from running, but Pause Controller does stop your game from running, and it does it in a really simple, quick manner. You don't even have to touch any programming. You don't have to open up any kind of scripting to get it done, and we're going to go ahead and show that to you. So another issue with timeScale 0 is that you can't use any kind of animation systems to animate your GUI coming in on the screen. So if you already went on our website and looked at our tech demo on there, you'll see that when something is paused, the icon on the right of Electech starts to spin, and it's using delta time to do that. Now, delta time is a fundamental way that people get things moving inside Unity. So once scale time 0 is 0, then so is delta time, and that's why everything in Unity stops moving. So it completely avoids that. Now, another thing that Pause Controller does for you, like I said, is stop in particular individual game objects or particular groups. So what does that do? Well, basically, if you have missiles coming in on the screen, it's like you can suspend the missiles. If you have enemies coming in on the screen, say you're making a strategy game, you can actually suspend them and let the player move, and then suspend the player and then let the enemy move. You can do this really easily with Pause Controller. You can do it with key presses. You can do it inside visual scripting programs like Playmaker for Unity3d. It comes with a action that helps make that process a little bit easier for you. So anyhow, Pause controller is a very well integrated solution into Unity and also into Playmaker. So after that, you might be wondering, okay, cool, sounds like I can do anything I want still with this pause system, where using timeScale 0 doesn't. That's correct. It also allows you to slow-mo your game while still having certain things pause, which is something that's completely impossible if you're using timeScale 0, because you're going to use timeScale 0 anyhow to slow-mo your game. So let's go ahead and just get started on how do you get something set up using pause controller. Well, after you install it, you just go ahead and click on Game Object. You go to Pause Controller, and then you click on Create Pause Controller with Input. After you do that, a Game Controller Game Object will appear. Go ahead and click on that. And from there, you'll see that there's these two components. If you don't know what a component is, it's just a system that you can attach to a game object in Unity. Anyhow, there's Pause Controller. This guy actually does all the pausing. Then there's the Pause Controller Input Detector. And he actually is going to communicate with the pause controller and tell it when there's key presses happening, things like that. So it actually is going to change the state. So basically the way pause controller works is that there's these filters, and there's a lot of filtering options here. There's layer, tags, game objects, behavior, custom filter, and advanced options. So today we're going to go over layer, and we're going to go over advanced options in brief. And so if you're going to filter by layers, go ahead and let's just select layers right now and open up layers by clicking on the little triangle to the left of it. You'll see that there's pausing layers, and right now it's set to pause and don't pause. What pausing does is what it sounds like. It suspends a game object. But what don't pause does is actually reverse the process. So if something is going to be paused, but you want to make sure it's not paused, it can actually cancel that pausing process out. And in later tutorials, we can show you advanced techniques on what that can do for you. But in this one, things are really easy. And so once you sit down and you go, okay, I'm going to use layers to pause, and one of the great reasons why you'll do that is because it allows everything to be paused in an instant very easily as compared to any other technique. So now that you have layers selected, you're going to go ahead and choose Select Layers. From there, go ahead and just choose everything. Now, with Pause Controller, how it filters is it goes, okay, what matches the criteria and what doesn't, right? And so in this case, we have a layers criteria. Now, if we want to make sure certain things don't get paused, like a GUI, we're going to need to make sure we create a GUI layer. If you don't know how to do that, I'm going to demonstrate that to you right now. Go ahead and click on Layers, and then go to Add Layers. From there, you see that there's some predefined layers that you can't change, and then there's layers that you definitely can. And so here's a defined layer that I created called GUI. If you want to create a layer, all you gotta do is just click inside the text field and type. So I already made a GUI layer. So now let's go ahead and go back to Pause Controller. And we are going to open up layers again. And right now we have everything selected. Well, if you see, GUI is actually selected. We want to deselect GUI because we actually don't want it to pause at all. So go ahead and deselect GUI. Great. You're actually almost done. Now let's just go ahead and go to Input Detector. And you'll see there's a couple of options here. There's tap and there's toggle. We'll go over that. It comes with documentation on and offline, so you can go ahead and learn all the nitty-gritties of how all these systems work. Today we're just trying to keep it simple. So go ahead and just click on Keys and change the size to 1. From there, go ahead and click on Element 0, and you see a lot of keys are available to you. In fact, it's pretty much the full keyboard, right? And also just joystick buttons and really cool things like that. Go ahead and just hit P. Great. We're basically ready to begin. If you're not going to use the built-in GUI system, go ahead and just click on GUI off. It's just to help with performance. And let's go ahead and run the game. And you see the balls are spawning, and I can throw some balls out in the scene. this is a really good time, and I want to pause my game. Great, and now I hit P again, and you realize the game isn't unpausing. Well, this is okay, this is intended behavior. There's one more step you gotta do. So go ahead and stop your simulation, and go to your pause controller game object, scroll up to the top, and change layers from default to GUI. Go ahead and run your game again. Go ahead and hit P, suspends everything, allows everything to run, suspends everything, allows everything to run, except for things that are labeled layer GUI. It won't suspend those. Wow, that's great, right? Well, here, I'll just go ahead, if you haven't checked out the demo on the website, and show you something else. On this particular demo, if you press O, the object in the background stays suspended, but the objects in the the purple objects are called background objects, but the blue objects are called player objects, and we actually didn't suspend those. And this is done through other pause controllers that we have established in the scene. Go ahead and press O again, and you'll see everything continues to run. You can go ahead and press I, and now look, all the balls that we threw using the player input is suspended, but all the background purple balls are still moving. Also, you notice that the pause icon was spinning because it was using delta time. This is just a great example of the power that pause controller allows you to have over your scene. I hope that this video tutorial was informative, encouraging, and Electech would love to get in contact with you if there's any issues that you're running into or feature ideas. We're excited to make games. We want you to be excited to make games, and we need to do that together. So thank you for checking out Pause Controller. I hope you're having a good time making your games. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.